Well, fellas, good morning. Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski. Welcome back to PokeMMO Stream Recap 311, I believe, your daily source of PokeMMO news, information, gameplay, goals, seeing what I'm doing in game personally, and talking to the community, answering questions, your daily tips, tricks, everything PokeMMO uploaded every single day. How are we doing today? Someone said, what do you think the event will be coming up this summer? I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's unlikely there is a summer event. It's very likely, I want to say 80 to 90% chance, estimations based off of my experience. I don't have any, don't promise this and don't hold the devs to this. This is just a player's guesstimation, but I would guess there's like an 80 to 90% chance we see a medium to large update in the summertime. Now, what is considered a medium update's different from certain people is something I've learned. But I think we'll see a decent sized update in the summertime. This shiny Grumpig is amazing. We don't see that very often. I think we'll see an update. I doubt it's an event. If it's an event, it would probably be something like the anniversary event returning, something they talked about. We will most likely 80 to 90% chance see a shiny war this upcoming summer, if that's what you consider an event. And I do consider it an event, but it's on a different level. Like a shiny war event is not the same as a Lunar New Year, Christmas. Like these events are in-game ones that change the way we play the game and change the way people make Pokeyen, etc., etc. Whereas, what's up, Choco Beam? Whereas the shiny war is really just for the high-end shunters. It's a little bit more of an exclusive event, which you don't really have many of in PokeMMO, so it's nice that we see that. Now, plans for today. I want to do a few final touches on my Heatran raid Pokemon. I've had this box over here, and I do really want to do Heatran this week. Not today. I keep delaying it. I know. I just want to make sure I'm fully prepared. I want to make sure I can organize a team ahead of time. But I'm actually going to go DE-EV this Sableye. This Sableye needs to lose some defense EVs because the Heatran raid Sableye, according to the strat that I'm using, needs exactly... Let's go over to it. It needs 64 special defense EVs. And I think it might even need 0 HP EVs because I need this Sableye to specifically have 241 HP right here and then 182 SPDEF. So it's too low on the SPDEF and too high on the HP. These numbers are very specific. When it comes to raids, targeting is very important, and you really need certain Pokemon to be targeted by the boss in certain ways. So I'm going to work on re-EVing this Sableye, be taking it nice and slow and careful with that. I want to test some money making. I have a Pokemon in mind that I want to catch that I think is criminally underrated for catching for profit that I think I've caught it. It's the Pokemon that I've caught the most for profit on this channel, and it still is like a money maker. So I'm excited to go test that. And then I think I'm going to do some shiny hunting today. Maybe on the main account, but definitely on the OnlyShinies account. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Someone said also Bethesda's releasing Oblivion Remastered tomorrow. Is that true? That's crazy. There's the Commander unbanned list dropping for Magic the Gathering tomorrow for non-PokeMMO players, as well as apparently the Oblivion Remastered. That's crazy. So a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to go ahead and get into DE-EVing this Sableye nice and carefully. So is it true with roaming legendaries, when you catch them once, when they rotate back around in 3 months, you get the 1 out of 500 chance to catch them? No, that's actually not true. The way roaming legendaries work, and I have a legendary explaining that covers this in depth, the way roaming legendaries work is if you run into it with, let's say it's April right now. So if you run into, I don't know, is it Zapdos right now? If you run into Zapdos and you kill it, or it kills you, or you run, or you fail to catch Zapdos in some way, you get a highly increased chance to re-encounter it for that month. The guesstimated chance is that we don't know the rates, we think the rate goes from 1 out of 5k to 1 out of 500. That's our guess as a player base. That's the most common number I see, but I've caught all the legendaries, right? The legendary rate for me is not 1 out of 500. It's probably that 1 out of 5k number, right? You do not get an increased chance for the rest of time for all your legends. That's a good question, though. It's a good confusion to clarify. I'm also surprised, dude, there's a lot of people at Mount Silver. This is like before I even showed where I was at on stream. There's a lot of people at Mount Silver today. Way more people are reaching endgame in PokeMMO, which is awesome to see. This guy's a nice little shiny Darumaka down there flexing. Yo, what are your thoughts on 2012 Pokemon? Do you think they'll be like party hats in RuneScape in 5 years? I don't think they'll be as crazy as party hats. Because party hats are easier to... The cool thing about Fashionscape and RuneScape. For people who don't know, party hats are like just the super rare Fashionscape vanity item in not old school, RuneScape 3. The original RuneScape party hats are super expensive. They're billions of gold because they were super rare. They were an event item, etc., 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 right? Fashionscape and RuneScape is better because, well, in PokeMMO, it's quite good as well. We have our party hats. Our party hats in the game are things like the Q hat, the Desu Lab coat, the Electric Storm, which are worth like a couple billion, and anywhere from like 3 to like 15 bill. You can get some really crazy. There's some crazy vanities out there the average PokeMMO player doesn't need to worry about, right? Now, will 2012s be the new party hat? No, I don't think so. Now, do I think the 2012 market is really, really cool and will be continued to flesh out and like more collectors will pop up and et cetera, et cetera? Absolutely. I'm a big collector of 2012s. I have a pretty large, I want to say like maybe like over a box, maybe like 1 to 2. I have like 2 to 3 boxes of like 2012s and 2013s and 2014s ish, but mostly 2012s and 2013s. I love 2012 Pokemon. I love 2012 collecting. I think it is way more comparable to base set Pokemon cards than party hats, right? Because there's a fair bit of them, and like base set Pokemon cards all have, you know, some value, but if they're like damaged or beat up, they don't really have as much value as people think, right? I think 2012s will, there's gonna be niche ones that have really cool value and just fan favorites, things like your starter Pokemon, your starter 2012s, your Charizards. Like, I think that these will be raised from 3 mil in a few years? Yeah, I think so. I think it's a collectible. Not everybody understands or cares about collectibles, but the more time that is passing in the PokeMMO space, I do think the more people are caring about 2012s and just how hard it was to get Pokemon from this era. I didn't even play this game in 2012, and I have been playing this game for a very, very long time. The game was also only released for 6 months in 2012. It came out in around like June, and then existed in, you know, until the end of the year. So like they're really, really rare. 2012s are super, super rare. You had to have played the game, not been banned, not bred it into oblivion and consumed it along the way, not be on a lost account, had to have actually come back to the game. There's a million reasons why 2012 Pokemon shouldn't exist, and that's why we just saw there was only 164 on the market, 164 available. Now, people have collections. I have my collection. Like my collection, I have more Pokemon than on the market. Well, not in full 2012s, but like, yeah, they're really cool. They're really rare, but they have a long way to go, I think. Okay, to add a little bit of extra info, shout out to Xanarchy for this screenshot. It has been confirmed. I didn't know this was confirmed. Now, I believe the legendary encounter rate at base level is still unknown, but it has been confirmed that the re-encounter rate for the legendary is 1 out of 500. That's kind of crazy. That's like really low in my opinion. Like it goes from most likely 1 out of 5k to 1 out of 500. That's a massive increase. So if you at least find the legendary, that's why I say don't master ball. Don't master ball. Don't waste crazy resources on a legendary. You can just re-encounter it in, that's like 2 hours, less than 2 hours. On average, 500 encounters, that's less than 2 hours of single encountering, most on average. So that's, yeah, don't sweat if you happen to lose the legendary fight, legendary encounter, just go for the re-encounter in my opinion. Okay, I need EV reducing berries. Step 1 is Pomeg. I need 26. I need 26 Pomegs. I'm gonna go ahead and get 30, have some extra in the bag. 26 Pomegs to fully get rid of my HP EVs, which hurts because I literally spent the time to HP EV train this thing, but EV training's so fast nowadays, I'm not super worried about it. And then next, I need Qualot berries for defense. Now, I only need to get rid of, I think, 70. I'm going to get 7. Specifically 7, because I need to take this thing down to enough defense EVs where I can fill out the special defense EVs with 64 specifically. So I'm not even going to Pomeg yet. I'm going to Qualot this bad boy. If I could spell Qualot correctly. Beautiful. I'm going to use these 7. Yeah, we're going to subtract 70-ish. Perfect. We're going to take this over to Spadef. All right, there is 64 special defense EVs on my Sableye. So I'm going to specifically try to not kill anything else with it in my party. I have to go now Pomeg the crap out of these HP EVs. It feels weird to, I'm going to be doing the Heatran raid with a non-fully EV'd Pokemon, but that's ideal. Sometimes the best Pokemon strat is not always getting maximum stats. It's specifically manipulating your stats to get the AI to target you or not target you in specific situations. So Let's use 26. I probably should have just typed it, but that's okay. 26 Pomegs and say goodbye. I guess we could do this and keep 2 EVs. 2 EVs shouldn't affect the stat. Boom. Say goodbye to the HP stats. That puts us at 241 HP, which is exactly what we need, and 182 Spidef. Perfect. That is exactly what we needed. We needed exactly those stats. This Sableye, as soon as I put light screen on it, which I might have. Yep, perfect. This Sableye is now, let's get rid of Fake Out perhaps. Heatran raid ready. We're that much closer, fellas. We are Heatran raid ready on the Sableye. I love how many new players there have been in the past 2 months. It makes the game so much more fun. It's been really noticeable, man. It's really, really, really crazy. I don't know if it's been a mixture of summer starting-ish. Moist Critical covered the game. Is it Sacred Almighty? There was a few big YouTubers. Yeah, plus Jarno, the professional F1 driver. There's been a few like big figures that have touched on PokeMMO recently. And I don't know if it's just a mixture of all that attracting new players, but we don't usually see player spikes after event season ends in PokeMMO. That's one of the first times I've ever seen that personally. It's been really, really, really impressive and just, I mean, historically breaking. It's not normal, right, to see. All right, but it is time to head over to the place that I want to be at, the region, the Pokemon I want to test, the loop from 1 hour. I think maybe even loop from like 30 minutes. I don't know if this will get a full video. We might do another loop for 1 hour. I've just caught this Pokemon so many times doing loop for 1 hour that it feels monotonous to do another one, but I think it's so good. And I think people just sleep on how profitable catching this Pokemon is. And I people always say, Patrouski, you kill every market, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I understand where they're coming from because videos and information spreads affects things in the short term. But in the long term, if you check out the market in 3 months or even 2 weeks, usually things bounce back. The Pokemon market is always moving, right? It's always about finding the next new thing, the next underserved market, okay? I think Torkoal is one of the most underserved markets in PokeMMO. The amount of times I go look up, what's a 20 plus Torkoal in every stat that it needs cost. I mean, here's a cheap one for 10k, right? I might even just buy that honestly and do a quick breed for profit. But the next one, 40k, 50k, 60k. Dude, there's not enough Torkoals on the market. It's just people need Torkoal comps, as well as people sometimes want nice Torkoals for Jimmy runs, but you probably shouldn't do that. I'm kind of against that personally, but if you want to do it for fun, more power to you. They're not really as efficient. But Torkoal just moved down to UU. And UU players need the Sunsetter, man. They need someone to set up Sun for their little, you know, Sun strategy. So I'm gonna go flip this Torkoal for a quick sec, and then we will go catch Torkoals for an hour in Hoenn and see how much yen we can make. All right, we are at the Torkoal spot. I'm gonna go ahead and start a 1 hour timer on my phone. Torkoal is not amazingly common here. It's still pretty common. Well, as we get one, nice. It took me a few Geodude encounters previously. I do recommend a damp Pokemon here for sure. I'll do a full loop from 1 hour video on this spot coming up here at some point. But for today, I'm just going to Spore into False Swipe, I think. Yeah, it goes for Protect. It might have Explosion or Self-Destruct at this level. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go ahead and try to False Swipe here, actually, so we could properly see. There's a few things. Clear Smog. If it's level 28, Lava Plume, Protect. No, I think Protect is the only thing I have to worry about. So I'm just going to False Swipe, Spore, Pokeball, try to catch these as much as possible, and see how many I can get within 1 hour. What's the name of that new Pokemon MMO coming out soonish? So PokeForce, but it's not coming out soonish, but there's a really, that's a good reminder. There's a big test, another like beta test, alpha test, whatever you call it, another demo test, April 29th. Mark your calendars. I'm going to be streaming it on that day. That'll be a big event. That'll be a big, we haven't seen PokeForce in, I think 6 months. So it's been a while. So this will be the first test in 6 months or so. I'm excited to see how much progress they've made. There's someone asked why no Dono status. My Dono status did wear out recently. And I don't, as someone who, you know, plays this game a ton, even I am like safe with my donos where I'm not gonna pop one immediately, right? I'm gonna like wait until I need it. I think way too many new players I see think you need Dono status or you need Shiny Charm to play the game or to Shiny Hunt, and the average endgame player doesn't. Like the average, maybe Dono status, but Shiny Charms are pretty rarely used. That's like mostly popped for like if you're, you know, pissing away yen for fun, really. But Dono status, if I'm not shunting, I'm just money making, and I'm gonna be testing things like, you know, I don't need to pop Dono. I'm just not worried about it. And then it's only 10%. 10% really isn't that much on most shunts. I always give the example of like every ×5 horde shunt on Dono, you save 3 hours, right? 3 hours at 3 million Pokeyen for a 30-day donor status, right? That means if you only get one ×5 horde shiny, so 30,000 encounters within 30 days of a 30-day dono, that's kind of not worth it, right? That's 1 million Pokeyen per hour you spent to save. That's kind of terrible, right? I think I might have. So like it's easy to forget. You just don't save that much time on most. If you're doing like egg hunts or whatever, that really matters, or like super long hunts, right? Dono is good for money making too. For certain money making strats, that doesn't affect catching at all, right? Dono is not this required thing to play the game, and no one should be under the presumption that it is. It can be good and it can be nice long term if you play the game a ton, but I see too many new players who don't play the game enough to warrant it, spending all their yen on donos, or even worse, Arceus forbid, I see people dropping like all their yen on shiny charms, popping 10 shiny charms, hunting for 10 hours, not getting a shiny, and then being like, oh wow, I spent all my money, I didn't even get a shiny, now I quit the game. Like, we gotta teach responsible usage of Pokeyen, you know? Dono is great, but you don't need it all the time, you know? Don't over stress or over worry about that stuff. Pat, if someone doesn't have enough capital, which of the 3 events do you think is the best to invest in? I said about investment in a recap once. Well, if you don't have that much capital, you probably shouldn't be investing. That's step number 1. And then step number 2, what event is the best to invest in depends every year. It depends on what product comes out, right? 1 year Halloween is terrible because it's just who prefers what vanities, right? It all comes down to the vanities. Now, on a general rule of thumb, this is not financial advice. I'm just like kind of stating facts and stating like historical events. Please, you know, right? How much is enough capital to invest in PokeMMO? Probably 10 to 25 mil. It depends on, you know, you want to keep some money, right? That's a big one. You don't want to, if you have 10 mil, you shouldn't be investing 10 mil. You should be investing like 7 to 8, keep 2 mil for flips or to make other money, right? If you have 25 mil, maybe invest 20 of it. Unless you're like, this is the average person. If you're very comfortable with making money from scratch, then more power to you, right? But in terms of best events to invest in, I would say on average, the best event kind of is the Lunar New Year event, because most people are really bad with financial management and they don't manage their money and they don't save money for the Lunar New Year event, which is the final event out of the 3 in the event season, right? How are events? Yeah, we have videos on that, but get distracted, sorry. Yeah, the Lunar New Year event's the final event, so most people will like invest all into Halloween or invest all into Christmas and then have nothing left over for Lunar New Year event, so people kind of neglect it. And also we'll see like historically a lot of really cute stuff, like the White Rabbit plush or whatever. I'd say, like, talk about investing, right? This was a vanity. This is insane that this cost 64 mil. What's the one recently that came out? I think on average, the Lunar New Year event performs the best in terms of investments. Okay, someone in chat just said Bunny Hood and Bunny Costume came out in the shop recently, and for a limited time, I bought 2 sets. How long should I wait? You should probably not be investing in these. These are not an investment. This is a seasonal item, which means that this returns every single year, right? The bunny hood and the bunny outfit, these return every single, not the bunny tail, right? The bunny costume, bunny hood, every single year at Easter, these come back. So they can't really get up in price. They're correlated to how expensive RP is. So like you can make a short-term investment and just, if you bought them now, RP is pretty cheap, so maybe that's good, you know? Rip, I just saw limited time. Yes, it's a really easy mistake to make, but this is why I don't say this to shill out my own videos, maybe a little bit, but like please Google guides and please Google questions before doing things, or like in PokeMMO, or you know, ask like, if you just Google basic investment guide, beginner guide to investing, you know, I have tons of videos talking about this and going over what are good investments and going over like, hey, don't buy seasonal items because they're not a good investment, at least long term. Short term they can be. Like, I'm not trying to, it's not all doom and gloom. A good example is the flaming motorcycle. When this came out, now it's gone down a ton. Flaming motorcycle. When this came out originally, this was actually a fantastic investment because it was one of the first like crazy bike cosmetics we saw. So if you bought this in like 2023 for like 3 to 4 mil, you could sell it for like 5 to 6 mil within like 6 months. So that was a great investment short term for the first year. Generally, seasonal items can be like a good investment for the first 6 months or whatever of its like first ever release, but something like the bunny stuff, that's been out in the game since 2018. So there's just tons floating around and not really any increase in demand, right? You can always tell an item will say seasonal. Do you see how on the top left it says a little snowflake, it says seasonal, versus this says event only and it doesn't say seasonal? So this will not come back versus this will. They even have, they're color coded as well. Blue is seasonal, green is gift shop, but it's like always in the gift shop, if that makes sense. I also have tons of videos going over investment, you know, not advice, but thought process, as well as vanities explained and going over all the different types of vanities and what to look out for. So just please, please, please. It's a beautiful thing that whether it's my videos or another amazing Pokemon YouTuber or Best Friends, aka Rude Rogers, has an amazing full in-depth vanity guide on the forums. Like, I don't care what kind of Pokemon content you're watching, whether it's mine, whether it's someone else's, whether it's a forum post, you know, just please, there's so much good information out there. Use it. It's a beautiful time to play PokeMMO because we actually can Google things. This was not the case for most of my time, like up until 2020. So from like 2012, for the first 9 years of PokeMMO's history, it was almost impossible to Google questions about the game. You would find almost nothing, right? It's amazing how much information is now plastered all over the internet. Dude, I don't know if bro is just linking this shiny Teddiursa to flex, but he should be, because this is Safari caught, okay? I don't know, nice. This is Safari caught. Look at these IVs. 160 plus, 31 defense, 25 plus, and like everything else. This Pokemon is insane. That is a beautiful, beautiful mod. This is a really good point to bring up. I'm always surprised by how many people who egg hunt. Isn't it incredibly expensive to do? Yes, I think that a lot of people, and it's not like, dude, I literally was this person, so I'm guilty of this too. I always say one of the biggest mistakes I made was starting my egg shunt with only 62 million. Yeah, literally Mist sent me a meme about this today. I think a lot of people start an egg shunt without the funds to actually do an egg shunt. I started mine with 62 mil, and I thought that would be enough to like have half up front and then fund the rest going forward. But I think I had I don't think I had any donor statuses or shiny charms. Or maybe like 1 or 2 of, I didn't have enough, right? So I was not prepared enough. Like nowadays, I strongly recommend like 65 mil minimum, but I would even go more, man. Like there's nothing, because nothing feels worse than doing like 20,000 eggs, running out of money, and being like, oh shit, I want to continue my hunt. If I go like try to make Pokeyen and get a shiny Tentacruel, I'm gonna lose my mind. You know, it doesn't statistically matter, but emotionally it does, and shunning is all emotional, right? Yeah, Mist literally sent me this today. You should have at least 150 mil to egg hunt, 700k Pokeyen at your disposal. This sign won't stop me because I can't read. Like I feel like most people who egg hunt in PokeMMO, I would say like 80%, probably don't have the funds to egg hunt. And part of me is also like, I get it, because it's so much Pokeyen, and sometimes you want to just do a batch, see what happens. Sometimes someone does one batch of 300 to 600 eggs and they get the shiny, so like fucking fair enough, you know. That's amazing to see, but I would recommend saving up. It's too painful to be stuck not being. My wife is in that situation right now. She wants to egg for Quillfish. She doesn't have much Pokeyen. She can't really play. It makes you feel guilty for, you don't want to play the game, right? She basically just logs in, do her Jimmy run, and logs out, and like does Quillfish eggs whenever she can. And I was the same with Cranidos, and it sucked. It sucked so much. So make sure you do a fair amount of Pokeyen money making while doing your egg hunt as well. That's a big one. Can't you just catch the Dittos though, the Pokemon you want to breed? So there's 2 problems with that. Number 1, you open yourself up to instead of getting that rare shiny you want, a 50% chance you get a Ditto or a Whismur shiny, which is also going to break your heart. And then number 2, that's going to turn a 1,000 hour shiny hunt into a 10,000 hour hunt. If you are catching your own Dittos instead of making the Pokeyen to buy your Ditto boxes, it is so much longer. There is a reason why, you know, the game's an MMO, and there's a reason why playing an Iron Man account is a massive disadvantage and restriction, right? Because if you were to go for a rare hunt on an Iron Man account, you would have to catch 30,000 Dittos on average, and that would be crazy impressive, right? There's another reason why I want to start an Iron Man account so damn bad, but we have other things to finish up before we can get to that. But that is hopefully one day we'll get to it. One day we'll get to it. Would you say it's better to fossil shot than to egg shot? I mean, it's positives and negatives, and also you can't, you know, if you want to go for Charizard, you can't fossil that, right? Fossils, you can only fossil certain Pokemon. Fossils are positives and negatives. Fossils are faster than egg shunting, but they're also more expensive, and fossils are only getting more and more expensive, especially when Shiny Wars rolls around. Speaking of, I actually want to buy these. If they're a little cheaper-ish, I'll buy whatever fossils. But fossils are expensive, man. I mean, look at these. These are 8K a piece, and that's the cheapest fossil possible. Versus eggs are like 5,000 encounter, 5,000 Pokeyen per encounter, and that costs you 150 to 200 mil right now. Fossils probably cost you 300 mil per shot, would be my guess. 300 mil would be my guess. Also, you can egg shunt for less if you don't use Dittos. Just make all the eggs become female and use an egg group male. So then you're paying 5K minimum to change each Pokemon's gender, right? And then if it's like an Eevee that you're egg shunting, that's 21K. That's worse. Versus the 5. Yeah, at that point you're literally paying more. Now it's good if you're like breeding something like a shiny if you're egging for Charmander, right? Taking all the female Charmanders, putting them in a different box, and getting the male egg group breeders, right? That's better, right? But it depends. Yeah, but for Shalfas, that depends. Certain species of Shalfas you want to pay for a female, and certain ones you want to pay for a male. It just depends, right? For example, for Quillfish, I egg alpha Quillfish sometimes. Alphas are actually one of the weirdest. Shalfas are one of the weirdest shunts. These cost like 1 to 2 billion per shunt. They're ridiculously expensive. On average, it is way cheaper to breed for a Shalfa Quillfish by paying for your breeds to be male, not female, because the females cost 12, 13, 15K a piece, whereas the males for the same egg group, right? It's water B, right? So if I were to breed my Quillfish to be female, if I were to breed them to be male, I'm paying like 12 to 15K per breed. If I'm breeding them to be female, well, then you're paying, let's get rid of this, 4750K per breed. This is a lot of end game shunting, so that takes practice and knowledge, and you can tell, yeah, that's you usually don't want to breed alphas female, but it depends on the species. All right, we are done our Tortle farming. If you want to see the full numbers on that, I'll do a video at some point. Only caught 21 Tortles. This might be not nearly as good as I expected. At least this loot for 1 hour was not ideal, but that's okay. We're going to hop over onto our OnlyShinies account here in a quick sec, watch some interesting new PokeMMO content, and just work towards our OnlyShiny. Alrighty, fellas, we are on the OnlyShinies account. For those who have never seen this, I will read the little synopsis. OnlyShinies is an account that can only use shiny Pokemon. So to even begin the game, I have to run back and forth at Route 1. Since your starter Pokemon is shiny locked, it's impossible to get a shiny starter in PokeMMO. I have 2 backup potions just in case I actually do. Well, actually, I have more than that now because I had to complete one region to get unshiny locked, because this is one of the few things in game where you actually can get shiny locked if you run back and forth on Route 1. So I have 1 region complete on this account, and then I moved over to Unova, which therefore makes the account unlocked. I have Pokeballs and stuff, and from this point it's really just running back and forth until I get a shiny Pokemon, whether it's a Patrouski or whatever is here on Route 1 in Unova. My encounter counter needs to get changed, excuse me. Here is the correct one. I am currently 6,681 encounters deep into the OnlyShinies account. Wish me luck, fellas. I'm gonna need it. Yeah, apparently there's a good Spidget clip of him baiting people into thinking he got a shiny because he's just a PvPer, but he was opening some mysterious balls. I haven't seen it. Spidget Trolls Chat is what this is called. Hello? Is my Twitch broken? Wait, hello? The clip just won't play. It's okay, let me refresh. Good one, Twitch clips. Let's see. Anyone know if Horde Pokemon can use Allies Switch successfully? I believe so. Okay, there we go. Oh my god, we got one! That was just a save
Okay,
play.
sorry. So we didn't actually get one, but I figured there were at least a few people that had the stream going on in the background that would get tricked.
This
by me
is so
saying,
toxic.
Oh my God, we got one. So, nah, you're.
I feel like as a PvP player, you're allowed to do this. It's funny enough, and it's like me, like it's not your normal content. Imagine if I did this, like as a shiny hunter, if I did this, like it would be so obnoxious, you know? But I think this is kind of, as a PvP player, you're allowed, right? It would be like if I baited a PvP, like that's funny. That's so toxic though. Holy shit. All right, fellas, everybody's favorite news stream recap segment, Movietrouski takes. I watched 3 movies since Friday's stream. I've been watching movies, man. I always say, I don't know that much about movies, okay? I'm not a movie connoisseur. I try to, I don't use words like, oh, wow, what a James Cameron-esque cinematographer. I don't fucking know, okay? I just watch movies. I share my takes. That's Movietrouski, okay? Don't expect much from me. Anybody with 10 minutes in a film class is going to outpace me 20 times, okay? I watched Hot Rod for the first time recently. I've tried to watch Hot Rod many times in the past, and I just couldn't get through it. It wasn't funny enough or interesting enough to me for a long time. The older I've gotten, there's 2 movies like this. The more I like it, the more I appreciate the dumb comedy in it, and it is very similar to Step Brothers, which is my favorite comedy of all time. Like, man-child comedy is very funny to me. Hot Rod was pretty good. I gave it a 3.5 stars. It's just weird. I don't like there's just no, I don't know. That's how I felt about it. I'm not even gonna explain. Moving on. The Star Trek 2009 movie, okay? I watched this movie. This is one of the first movies when DVDs got added to libraries that I rented from a library. I was like, holy shit, it's so cool that our libraries now have DVDs. Holy crap, right? And Star Trek, I didn't know why. I didn't remember what happened. I never watched Star Trek growing up. Star Trek, the 2009 movie, was my first ever experience with Star Trek. And I remember the feeling. I probably watched the movie when I was like 13, maybe even like younger. I remember, I'm 26 now, almost 27. I remember the feeling I walked away with this movie was like, wow, this is amazing. But I didn't remember why. So I rewatched Star Trek and I gave it a 5-star every time. I think this movie is like actually amazing. I know there's a full trilogy I need to go watch. I need to go watch Star Trek Into the Darkness and like Star Trek Beyond. I've heard number 2 is meh, but number 3 is great. I loved the original 2009 Star Trek with zero attachment to that IP at all. And then I finally watched I Love You Man because there's a movie called Friendship coming out in May with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, and it's supposed to be very similar. I Love You Man is fucking weird. I liked it. It covered like every like, oh, haha, funny male friend trope of like being a 30-year-old guy trying to make friends. It's a funny situation. There's a lot of like interesting social stuff that isn't talked about in other areas. But like this movie had some of the weirdest dialogue and some of the like zero plot. There was no like they didn't try to make it cohesive at all. It felt like multiple different sketches and like multiple different segments just all sewn together. It felt like they just like didn't have a script and they just winged the whole movie. But it was great and unique and there's nothing else like it. So I liked it, but it wasn't. I give it a 3 out of 5, which is 6 out of 10. That's Movietrouski takes for the day. Let me know what movies I should watch and review next stream recap. There you go. You know what, chat? You're convincing me, man. I feel like I'm in the mood. I'm gonna hop to the main account and do some random PvP. Let's jump into it, boys. There's a Honchkrow prize up right now, and I think I actually still need a Honchkrow for raids. I might not have one. I'm not totally sure, but if I already have one, it's fine. We could use one for something else. I think that's a Pokemon that I actually don't have like multiples of or different builds of. It's not a very commonly built Pokemon for me. I'm gonna queue up in a randoms, but I feel like I need to get anything that I want to do done, right? So like Iron Man, any PvP arcs. This is a feeling. So please don't take this as fact or whatever. I really feel like we're gonna see a big update in the summer, or at least a decent update. They already talked about how part of the summer update it's not confirmed, but they want to implement the doubles VGC thing. So I mean, honestly, maybe saving, if it's gonna be a big PvP update, which we don't know if it will be or not, it'll be the VGC doubles thing. But I'm really looking forward to that, getting into having a PvP arc. As a shiny hunter, I love PvP every so often. I'm not that good at it. I'm sufficient. I do okay. Especially in randoms. I do think I am decent at randoms. I put enough time in, but like decent. I'm not like, you know, amazing or great even. Maybe good, maybe a little, you know. It's fun. I really enjoy it, man. It's a good break of monotony. I always say, like, if I had to grind, if I were like grinding PvP every day, I'd probably get a little, I'd lose my lineup mind a little bit, but I love a few games every here and there, man. It's so fun. If you haven't tried out too much PvP in PokeMMO, I always recommend randoms, dude. It's the best way to jump into it. Just got my shiny Sentret, dude. Congrats, Tobias. That's a really good single encounter shunt. Fucking hell yeah, man. Congratulations. All right, fellas, and with this single encounter, that should put me at 23,000 encounters dry, nice and even, where we can pick up on tomorrow's stream. Thank you guys for watching another beautiful stream recap. We did a little bit of everything today. Money making, PvP, talked about the game, shiny hunting, on the OnlyShinies on the main account, etc., etc. Like the video if you guys enjoyed the stream today. Enjoy the daily PokeMMO content. It means the world to me. Dislike if you don't. That's okay. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. I do upload every single day. I also stream on Twitch Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord link is down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, gifted subs, all the financial support really does mean the world to me, and it allows me to do this in the first place. Thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports the content. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace, Reno. Yo, Patrouski here, and I wanted to thank you personally for watching the video until the very end. I really, really appreciate that. And if your name is on this list, thank you to the moon and back, because you allow me to even make these videos by supporting the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.